Ladies and gentlemen, it's Brock Bowen here. You also know me as the Lifetarian. I've been having a bit of a conversation with Justin Brown, and he's got an idea called IdeaPod, a company that's doing some great things around the world. And we're actually introduced. We're just trying to remember how we were originally connected. And I was over in California for a little bit. Another friend, Charlotte, who I caught up with, she goes, "Brock, you have to meet Justin Brown. You guys are going to love each other." We didn't get to catch up then, but we thought we'd jump on and have a conversation and record it just to get some insights, because I think we're going to get some really good stuff in here today. And Justin, where are you today, my man?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brock. I'm currently in Bangkok in Thailand.
Cool. So originally grew up in Australia, then you're over in California, now you're in Thailand.
Well, yeah, actually, I grew up in Melbourne.
Yep.
Last bit over 10 years, I've been overseas. So I was in Poland for a year. I was between London and Brussels for some period of time, also Dusseldorf. I worked as a management consultant in Africa, in Mozambique, as well as in the Arctic, Siberia, so an underground coal mine. Then back to London to do a PhD, and then across to New York and LA, which is where I built up IdeaPod. So now I'm in Bangkok for the time being, and then I'll be back in LA pretty soon.
Cool. Can you talk me through the PhD? What was that?
The PhD was in international political economy. I was looking at initially the geopolitics of finance, and then I started looking at innovation clusters around the world. So, how do clusters like Silicon Valley, where all of this innovation, all these ideas start to connect and, totally change the world, how do these clusters organically emerge, or can they be government driven? So the European Commission at the time were trying to replicate what had happened in places like Silicon Valley and Boston, MIT, to get their universities connected with industry in some way to really get, a lot of innovation, rising up. So I was doing that, and I wasn't enjoying myself at all. It was all very, I felt one of the problems in academia was groupthink. So we were trying to publish in academic journals to write for each other, but our research, which was publicly funded, wasn't being shared with the public. To me, the whole situation was crazy. So I created a website that ended up becoming IdeaPod, which initially was about academics sharing their ideas so they could start to take hold, maybe go a bit viral, shift people's minds, get the ideas moving faster and faster in the world. And that's where actually IdeaPod was born from, out of that PhD.
Yeah, right. Well, based on that too, how do we avoid groupthink? It's a trip up for any of us. As soon as someone,
it's one of the key problems of our times. We're seeing it with filter bubbles, echo chambers, fake news online. I think it's interesting to see the way Facebook's evolved to actually become similar to the problem in academia, where academics are writing for each other in these siloed academic journals. And it's the same thing on Facebook. If you end up disagreeing with people over a period of time, they get filtered out of your news feeds. You're not being exposed to new ideas. I think almost at all. And we saw that with the election of Donald Trump in America, where people's reality was completely burst open, and we realized that we didn't know what was going on because everyone thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. And the liberals in California, that was all the stuff we were reading online. To me, it was a complete shock. I didn't even know Donald Trump had a chance. And the reality is that many other people in America knew that was the case. And I think that we're stuck in these chambers of groupthink, and it's up to us to get out of it. You asked how we do that. So for me, one of the key methods is mindfulness. And for me, what that means is actually becoming the witness to our own processes of thinking. So there's all these different ways of doing it. I know, Brock, that you'd have loads of different techniques for doing something like this. You're completely into this. For me, I find meditation helps a lot, but I also find just being present and trying to connect with what's going on around me with all of my different senses. But ultimately, just understanding that if I was that other person with their genetics, with their experience in life, with their ideas, I'd probably be doing exactly what they're doing and saying what they're saying right now. And, ideas are kind of fleeting and can shape our consciousness in different ways. So, loads of ways to do it. But that's the first step for me.
Mindfulness, I love jumping in really icy cold water. I love jumping off waterfalls. I love meditation, yoga, all different things. There's so many practices. But I have this thing where I just know when I've dropped in. It's just this same. It happens, sometimes making love. Happens sometimes with surfing, where you just drop in and you're almost in this, feels like a flow state or a different realm. Where I'm just dropped in. Talk me through that, like in terms of mindfulness. Is that a similar experience, or what goes on for you?
Okay, so I would distinguish between what I'm talking about, connecting with the present moment in quite a soft and passive way, with something like the flow state, which for me is very active. And that's where you're completely absorbed in what you're doing, and you actually lose that connection with notions of time and maybe even space. And the flow state, the way I understand it, comes about with elite athletes when you're a complete expert in what you're doing and you're in the zone completely. And then what you're doing is flowing through you. And, you know, I feel that way at different times, maybe in meetings with people. Definitely in like conversations with you, I can feel the flow state even starting to come in, you know, right now, where it's just sort of coming through you in some way. And it's like your energy gets activated. So for me, the flow state's a really great way to do that, except that I do think that our patterns of thinking still get activated in the flow state. And that's when, as a result of the expertise we've built up over a period of time, so elite athletes practicing for thousands of hours, all these different moves, we're actually activating patterns that already exist. Whereas a more passive kind of mindfulness state, I think, helps you through something like meditation to just become the witness to your own processes of thinking, to just sort of imagine different things that happened that day and why you reacted in certain ways. So there's a kind of a process going back and forth between being aware of all of these patterns so that they're not as strong, and then the flow state when you can really get in flow and create magic, as I think you would say, as we were talking before.
I love contemplating playing with language. It's a big experiment for me.
Oh, yeah?
You know, if I contemplated myself 10 years ago or 20 years ago, this is not the life I anticipated I'd be living. I knew I was going to be a leader. I knew I was going to do some wonderful things in the world, but probably thought it was a little bit different. When I first left school, I was planning to be a physiotherapist and did some of the things towards that. My first degree, I started doing law and commerce. That was like my whole journey. That was the first thing I did. And I don't know, I always just felt a little bit different. I always felt like you could do things a whole lot faster. That the conventional thinking, like 9 till 5, I'm like, well, it doesn't make sense. Some people I noticed, they were there for 10 hours and they did what I would do in 2 hours, and other people would get done really quickly. But we all had to work this same idea, which seems like another groupthink element of how to structure reality or structure society in such a way that's ordered and methodical to create a particular outcome that doesn't seem to work for everyone. And
yeah, I think groupthink really builds up around bureaucracy, and so I see bureaucracy as being really strong in corporations, companies. Whenever groups of people come to work together, we end up having to create processes and systems to try to collectively get things done. Yep. And I actually think the bureaucracy, the company structures, really one of the most powerful structures that we can create as human beings, because we're so much more powerful in groups than we are individually. When we can pool our talents, pool our resources, pool all this diversity of thinking as it gets directed towards a very clear mission. But one of the problems is that these companies build up over a period of time, and our human creativity, I think, gets completely wasted. And we're trying to fit square pegs into round holes, and the company's too big, and whatever the case may be. So we see bureaucracy, I think, in all forms of human organization, whether it's NGOs, corporations, universities, startups. You know, I'm sure in communes, like, you're going to have people that are frustrated because they can't express themselves. So it's one of the major challenges is how do we clean that up so that we can have organizations that utilize human creativity really productively, really effectively, so that we don't all have to quit and go off on our own. I think it's wonderful when we do, when we live a life of freedom the way I've seen you do with different parts of your journey. But you know, I think we can also improve these human institutions so that we get more out of ourselves as well.
Absolutely. A lot of my thing is, obviously, I mentor clients around the world and consult and so forth. That's some of my, I guess, impact in terms of what I do. But I have that, like, it's so pertinent to me right now to actually have what I call a dream team. I could just mention it before we started the conversation, but Walt Disney, he had a guy named Roy, his brother, who did majority of the implementation. Walt was the guy that was like so far out the box in his thinking. He dropped in, he just got these different expressions in his imagination. He also went bankrupt at least 3 times on record. And Roy was the guy that kept slugging away and doing the work and got no recognition, but ultimately brought what we now know as Disneyland, a legacy brand. And which inspires the creativity and imagination of generations. I know even myself, I've been there in California. I've been now to Paris, Disneyland. It's interesting because he definitely had a connection with psychedelics. When I look at some of the artwork and things, if you look through Disney, he's definitely, you literally see pictures of bongs and you see mushrooms and all kinds of things, which is interesting to see. Like I was just, like you talked about presence before, being present. I've noticed that thing when I contemplate and pay attention to more things, even as I talk to people unconsciously, but it's a cognitive function now, I'll notice how people breathe. I'll notice those little things. I've obviously trained that up at some element where I'm paying more attention. But talk about that, like as a team, paying attention, coming together. Because often what happens is, say someone like myself comes into a brand, I'll just start asking all these different questions, and then people are like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. But if you have enough certainty and commitment to your vision, it's very easy then to pull all these people into a new group think.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is what we're talking about before. It's prevalent in New Age. I know I use some of the language of it for sure. I like elements of New Age and spirituality. I love elements of business. I love it all. Looking at how do we bring them all together in an impeccable way that creates something even better for everyone on the planet Earth. And I always say this, 1 for ourselves, 2 for our community, 3 for humanity. But what are some of the ways that you see? You've brought together an idea called Idea Pod. Where do ideas come from?
Well, you've asked a lot of quite profound questions there. I think the hardest one to answer is, where do ideas actually come from? So my definition of an idea is the spontaneous expression of a creative thought. And it's important for it to be spontaneous, because that's when it emerges from within, from maybe some kind of passion, where you're totally focused on something and you get that aha moment, that new way of thinking where you've connected the dots between things that haven't been connected in your mind before. And I think that it's generated inside the brain. I think that all of the body, our brain all of our body's connected to each other. So we can really connect with the whole body. And when we can feel emotions like guilt in the gut. But the way I understand it is that's still being processed in the brain. The brain is still processing the experience of that feeling. So the more we can connect with our whole body, the better it functions. And I think that that's when we can have some sort of clearer expression. I've been interested in people like Terence McKenna and their work on psychedelics, as they talk of something like an ideas sphere out there, something like a collective consciousness that may or may not exist. And I feel that if we're all going to be completely honest, you cannot dismiss these notions outright. And I think it's scientific to hypothesize about such things and to learn through experience. And I wonder about ideas. And if you look in history at the history of ideas, the history of inventions, you can see that often when someone had the idea for something, like the light bulb, there were 10 different people all around the world that had the idea at almost the exact same time. But it was that one person who created the patent, who found an entrepreneur, who got the idea funded, who created it and got all the recognition. Then there were 9 other people who ended up thinking, oh God, it's already been created. And you just have to wonder about the causation of such things. I have no idea, because another argument is that, well, just based on the current state of knowledge, it makes sense that people would come up with similar ideas because we think in similar ways. So I honestly have no idea, but I think it's one of the most interesting questions to consider.
I'm fascinated by the whole exploration of it, because one of the guys that talked about it well was Michael Jackson. And he said he would wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning with an idea for a song coming through him. And he would call up his producer and say, we've got to get this done now. We've got to go into the recording studio now. And the reason was, otherwise Prince would get it in his dream. And
that's an interesting interpretation of it. There is a lot of cognitive science in the last 10 years that says that we used to think that not much happened in our brains while we slept. It was a way for the body to heal and recover. But what we know is that the brain's doing a lot of work while we're sleeping. And we go through these different stages of sleep. And during some stages, actually what's happening is our neural networks are being broken apart just a little bit. Because we're evolutionary beings, we want to solve problems. So we're always coming up against some sort of challenge in our life. And while we sleep, the subconscious is still working and trying to solve that problem, and the new connection is formed. So often when we have an idea, maybe the next day we're having a shower or eating our toast or whatever, and we get that aha moment, we're like, wow, the idea actually came to us in our subconscious while we're sleeping. And it can be the result of a lot of pressure in our lives, a lot of focus, a lot of attention to that. So Michael Jackson, like for me, the open question and one of the fundamental questions of our time is it the case that Prince may have gotten that same idea as Michael Jackson? Is that coming from an idea sphere collective consciousness? Or is it the case that was internally generated inside Michael Jackson's brain and it occurred while he was sleeping and he woke up with the idea, I have to get that done? For me, there's not, it's just an interesting question.
Yeah, well, it's like life. You got to keep pondering, because in truth, I don't think we actually know. Like a lot.
Well, I think that I see you as a pioneer, where you and correct me if I'm wrong, but you have a perspective. So you have some principles that are very strongly part of your whole mental framework, and you live according to those principles. So the way I understand you is that you've actually accepted that as truth in some way. And I'm sure you're open to that being changed if evidence shows you otherwise, right? But, you are getting results that way as well for you and your clients and everything. And I really respect that, because it's taking a stand. You're living on the edge of the current set of mainstream ideas. And if it's not for people like you, society doesn't actually advance. Whether or not you're right, because I think that people living on the edge, many people are wrong, but it's the fact that you're actually doing it and you're actually building a whole practice around it that's really important.
One of my friends, the way he articulates it is this. He goes, Brock, what I'm choosing to do is float. He's got a bit of a woo-woo philosophy. It's called float, fulfilling love, oneness, awareness, transcending. That's how he articulates it. But he goes, I'm choosing to be of the greatest contribution I know to the universe. And he lives a magnificent life, traveling around the world, running retreats, putting on events where 2 hours after the retreat's been on, there's crop circles. So there's what's presumably aliens or some description has come and done crop circles nearby to his retreat. There's all kinds of interesting things that occur. But he also says, which I like as well, and this is one reference I like to have because I could be wrong, is even if I'm deluded, I'm having the greatest time of my life. And it's an interesting one too, to actually push those boundaries, because if not, we don't. But you think about the Einsteins as well. A lot of these guys were actually committed many years ago to mental institutions, because their idea, if you think about the Wright brothers saying we're going to fly, people thought that was preposterous. They thought it was impossible. And now, even in the last 10 years, the ability for ideas to be implemented, it seems to happen so fast to be executed. Even, the Tesla, what do they got at the moment? The Tesla walls, the packs that they put in people's houses now. Going to space, all these different ideas that are coming through. That's why I'm always fascinated. Like, one, what are dreams? Two, where do ideas come from? Before I came over to California, I was dreaming about people that I would meet, and then I bumped into them. People that, I'm having someone where I think of them, and then I look to the left and they're on the TV screen. And I'm having...
Yeah, I think that for me, the key word that you brought up is delusion. And what is the relationship between surfing on the edge of commonly accepted notions of what reality even means and what's possible? And at what point may we even be deluded? Now, a lot of the people you mentioned were not deluded, because they could actually surf on the edge and still create, like the Wright brothers creating the airplane. Now, I think that they knew that was possible based on a few simple scientific principles at the time, but it wasn't known how it could actually happen. And they ended up coming through. But a lot of people, as you say, do get committed to, mental institutions, and you can end up living in your dreams so much that you actually lose a connection with reality. And it's a personal choice with where we all want to sit with that. And I think it's really important to be aware of it. The other thing that I do keep in mind is this idea of confirmation bias. So I'm a little more living in a different place to you, I would say, after having flirted with a lot of these different notions. And I'm careful about confirmation bias, where we do seek to fit in evidence with our pre-existing view of reality.
Yeah.
And when we like bump into people, you know, that we have just been thinking about, it fits in with the mental framework that we've already created, the story we've already created that this is possible. And it gives us further evidence and it entrenches that view. Now, I'm not saying it's not true at all. And I think it's amazing. And I've had so many experiences like that where I'm not dismissing it at all. In fact, I live like that in some parts of my life. But I happen to be going through a stage of my life based on where IdeaPod's at, where I feel that bringing it to ground in terms of the business fundamentals and how we're creating this platform called IdeaPod, how we're making it sustainable for the future, actually requires a shift from delusion into reality. Because the vision is there. The vision's amazing. The dream is huge to build an idea sharing platform. That's what we want, you know? So now I need to really get it grounded and anchored in reality.
I love it. I like too when you touched on that thing about knowing. Because I think that's the difference. If you implicitly know at some level, you'll take action, and which builds confidence momentum, which is interesting. But I like the different references because I know in my personal journey at the moment, I think we were talking about this a little bit before, it's that thing about grounding in and building a team. Is that idea?
Hello?
You got me? We might have just lost him for a second.
Hey, sorry, you're back. I got up to the point when you said about knowing being powerful, and if you know, you take action, but and it all blocked out.
Because say even if we look at different examples, like you with IdeaPod, I'm going to talk it through because a lot of people see, you know, I attempt to put as much across on Facebook as possible, the highs and lows and the different things. And when I have conversation with people, I want to talk about that too. Because even, you know, some of the experiences I had on that trip around the world, all of a sudden I'd have days where all my cards would stop working. I just have one left. I hadn't remembered to put take the block off. And there was literally examples like that where there were so many things that were messing up, but something beautiful always came from. So I always have a reference that this is going to work out, which is my personal viewpoint of the world.
Right.
Which if I keep putting that frame on reality, it seems to work out a whole lot better. But also one of the other principles I have is absolute awareness. I think what a lot of people do in the spiritual community, they're all love and lighters. You know, I was saying it before, we're like, you know, you put a frame on the wall like it's all fucking positive. Well, the reality is it isn't. It's good to look at it from a good frame, but have absolute awareness so you can see when you're in business if people are snakes. When you're in business, when you've got some things going on that need cleaning up, all those different things. I've definitely been through all the highs and lows of business. I want to talk through that with IdeaPod because I've been framing the question now, how do we positively and measurably impact billions of lives so we can shift humanity? And it's a big question, but then ultimately bringing back to what action can I take today? Otherwise we stay out here in the big fucking dream and nothing gets done. We twiddle our thumbs and drink cups of tea. I like seeing examples like you when you're actually going out and giving it a crack. And we'll see where the idea goes to. It's already doing really well. It's already still in place. You're about to go through some funding. But talk through to the inception of the idea to where it is now. What have been some of the highlights? And what are some of the biggest challenges? And for our entrepreneurs watching this and for myself, what are some of the learnings that you'd pass on from doing it? What would you do better in hindsight?
Yeah, I mean, it all touches on the conversation we've been having about the relationship between delusion, dreams, and reality. So I think one of the great strengths of the process of building IdeaPod has been having a very clear vision, a very strong vision, which is about organizing the world's collective intelligence through a process of sharing ideas. Now, we're building a search engine, and Twitter is a search engine for the current moment in time. If you want to know what's happening right now, Twitter is an incredible resource. And it used to be that you'd go to New York Times to find out what's going on, or maybe Google. But now Twitter just tells you what's happening in the world at this present moment in time. The thing about an idea is that an idea is an expression of the future, because human beings are very distinct for having the capacity to even come up with ideas. So we're able to hold in our minds simultaneously the future as we imagine it can be and the present as it really is. So if we can build a search engine around an idea sharing process where people are inspired to share ideas, then it's conceivable that we can build a search engine that is structured in such a way that we can peer through collective intelligence into the future. So that's a huge idea. And that's what's motivated us from the very beginning in building IdeaPod. Now, along the way, I think that we we were living in that dream, and we were not as much wanting to build something smaller and more useful to people with a smaller user base. And we kept on trying to get it to scale ahead of time, right? And get funding around that, a plan to scale. Now, I must say that I think that could have worked. And I think it can work, and many people do it. And I'm not saying that that's not possible. And it's one great way to do it. But now I'm so much more focused on bringing it to the here and now, looking at the current users and seeing what's most useful for helping people to capture ideas. What are the tools they need to generate new ideas, to shift from groupthink? So we're actually launching a new product soon that's been designed. It's called Pods on the platform.
Pods.
And we've done the ideas thing. You can share ideas. So now we're creating pods, which are groups for collaborative idea sharing. What they produce is a feed of ideas by the members in the group. That's great. You can crowdsource ideas around a purpose, and that's really useful. But it also generates a feed of related ideas from the platform. And that's where we help to shift people from groupthink by showing ideas from different subject areas that are still related, that may inspire you to come up with that new way of thinking around whatever purpose you've got. So I think that we're more focused on making useful things. And that's probably my biggest learning is really think about the users. And create something useful, even if it's a smaller user base to start with, because then you know it's valuable, and then you can even build a business model around it.
It's fun to do. I like breaking it down. Even the language you've used there is pods. Did that come from dolphins, or where did you get pods from?
Well, the idea of IdeaPod, originally it was called Unexus, and my co-founder Mark Backax, he came up with the name IdeaPod shortly after he joined. We said, look, the name Unexus wasn't really friendly enough, whatever. And, as the story goes, he spent a weekend coming up with new names, and I spent the weekend saying no to all of the names that he came up with.
All right.
So we finally came up with IdeaPod, and definitely dolphins is a part of it. So, you have a pod of dolphins, and they're, I would say the most intelligent creature on the planet. But maybe humans are, maybe dolphins are. It's hard to know. We don't really understand their intelligence. But they've got huge brains, and their communication capacities are just so profound over long distances. And they're such special creatures. And to get back to the language you were using about aliens before, people wonder, where a lot of this stuff comes from. And so pods is related to pods of dolphins, like having pods of ideas.
I like the idea, because I'm going to ask you in a second about momentum, but I'll just pre-frame. I'll just drop it in now. But that's how I kind of see momentum, like these dolphins that contribute to one another. Dolphins, like they play together, they contribute together, they hunt together, they do stuff. But as I postulated that too, what I thought was this. There's multiple animals. If we're all dolphins in a pod, that was what I was thinking about the group thing too, just in terms of the people I'm engaging with, the people that you're engaging with, like in terms of building out these different ideas. I've always had that element when I work with people. I don't want them to start being mini Brocks. I think we've had that a lot in the personal development industry, where there's a lot of guys running around beating their chest and saying yes. That thing where they've modeled off a particular character in the scene that's done amazing things for everyone, but ultimately we've modeled and duplicated and created a group think in terms of personal development. So I'm always contemplating that too, in terms of the idea pod. What is the thing that we do next to bring in all these different plethora of ideas from all elements? Some people are more inspired to share ideas. Some people are more the people that sit around and have cups of tea, and it sits in their head, but they never express it externally. It's fun even just going with it. Like right now we're going this way, but how do we then almost tap into their collective thinking in an even grander way?
Yeah, I love this idea of training people to be their own guru. And you don't really ever want to be someone's guru, because then you're creating a position of authority where your idea on what needs to happen in their life is suddenly given more authority than whatever idea they may come up with themselves.
Yeah.
So I think the best kinds of gurus out there, and I do think there's a role for teachers and mentors. I have mentors in my life, a number of them in different parts of my life, and I really value their perspective. But the reason they're my mentors is they really value it when I internally generate my own idea, when I am the source of my own authority. So I feel that with IdeaPod, there's a culture there already. It's a very simple platform. You share ideas in 1,000 characters or 40-second video ideas via the app. Users can respond, relate ideas to each other. So it's kind of like a microblogging platform, and it's going to get more advanced soon, but it's pretty simple right now.
Yeah.
But there is a culture where people's ideas matter and people are listened to for the ideas that they have. It's very constructive. And I think we need to recognize that the ideas that are relevant to you are totally irrelevant to me in some ways. And I need to figure that out myself. I need to be my own authority. I think it's one of the most important principles there is. Individuals need to be the source of their own authority.
100%. I was talking to another guy the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago, and we're talking, he's big into sovereignty and creating frameworks. He's done a lot of work himself, and he's now gone, well, what are these frameworks that we can actually utilize so people can live in their sovereignty? And it's an interesting one to contemplate, like within this thing. Currently, you've got a user database this big. As it gets bigger, we see examples right now, Google, YouTube, Facebook, where they're all filtered. It's just these platforms, as soon as something's put out, even that thing we talked about before, Standing Rock, for instance, it's a different idea. Someone thinks the best idea ever is to put it through that particular place. Someone else might think it's better to put it out over here. But ultimately, how do we get to a decision making from an idea that someone feels needs to be instituted right now? It's an interesting.
I think we're talking about systems of governance with how we collectively make decisions for whatever we may agree upon is the greater good. And Mark Zuckerberg's post on Facebook, I think it was last week. I don't know if you heard about that, but he did a 5,700 word post about the future of Facebook. And it's really fascinating because what he's saying is that he recognizes that Facebook is effectively, or he would like Facebook to become, I think, a governance tool where a lot of the decision-making happens within Facebook in terms of how we move society forward. I honestly don't have the answers for such things, except that what I would like to see with IdeaPod is, let's talk about the Standing Rock situation right now. I would love to see ideas shared, both from the activists that are at Standing Rock, with why they are there, what's important. You mentioned water is life before we started recording. Yeah, super amazing, wonderful, inspiring ideas. But I would also love to have ideas shared by the shareholders of the oil companies that have invested billions of dollars. Because I do think that things like capital are important in this economy, because capital represents savings, which represents human intent. So my intent goes into working for a certain period of time to accumulate something which right now is recognized in the form of money. And I put it in the bank, and then I invest it in a company. So there are shareholders of these companies that have invested money based on a certain legal framework and a certain plan that was presented to them. And I think that we need to put everyone's ideas out there, and we need to approach it in a way where you can simultaneously hold your own ideas about water is life and the activist movement, along with the ideas of shareholders of oil companies and whoever the other stakeholders are, that benefit from this, people's employment and so on. And only then can we, like a sieve, let things come out in the wash. And then I think we need to have things like universal principles, and we have to take a stand. And that's where I think when you spoke about water is life, and we need to really just look at what sort of world we want to live in with the environment and things like that, where maybe then after you've listened and you've considered everyone's ideas, perhaps something can come through. But only through that process, I think, can we reach a situation where people's hearts and minds are moved to change their perspective. Because right now, all I see in the current media is people shouting at each other across one side to the other. Those, activists that are, so lazy, they don't have a job, they're too much time on their hands, they're dirty, they're whatever, right? Versus those crazy oil companies, they don't understand, they're polluting the environment, and there's no dialogue. Concrete dialogue.
Yeah, it definitely creates that whole separation where they're not even engaging. But I like that. Even if you look at the previous wars, the guys in the trenches that were fighting each other, on one particular day, they got out and they had lunch together. They smoked together.
Exactly.
They killed. I think when we all get together, we actually realize we're not that different. But ultimately, right now in our world, money is power. It's a huge part of what we do. And then just going, well, cool. If we want to pay lip service to changing the world and doing these things, it's important that we make a lot of currency in what we do in terms of our projects. That's something that's been going through me in terms of my business foundation. If there are these ideas and want to do it, one of the simplest ways to change things is to pay for stuff and invest in certain companies. Well, if you've got billions of dollars, you can kind of do that. It's a fun thing to do. You can still have power. You can still be like Mother Teresa and have massive influence and power. But I like that there's great people coming through as entrepreneurs with brilliant ideas that are willing to actually go all the way to multi-millionaire or billionaire or whatever it happens to be and make a stand on things. I think it's cool, like world leadership. It's something that I've contemplated too. And apparently I've got some of the characteristics of a billionaire. Certainly don't have the cash yet, but I want to look at all the blind spots, all the dark shit within myself and go, fuck, that doesn't work. And similar to what you've gone through recently, just go, cool, how do we ground and put it in place? How do we build the momentum, which is the next question I'm going to ask you about too, in such a way that we can actually institute these ideas into the world and have them not just be these flighty ideas that run around for 2 years, but ultimately your vision, seeing it in place in 200 years or whenever the time span is. Kind of like Dr. Bronner's, the soap. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's like 100, 150 years old. It's one of the coolest companies ever. I don't know much about behind the scenes, but they put all the different spiritual woo-woo stuff all over it. But people love it. No one's ever tried to copy it, I don't believe. Like in Australia, definitely, it's just this soap. But people love it. There's a particular energy to it that it's being created with. Anyway, momentum. Tell me about, what's momentum to you?
Well, momentum to me is actually about getting grounded in reality while being connected to a vision that means something to you. That you're willing to stand for, that you're willing to fight for in some way. Maybe making the world a better place, maybe defined on different terms. And then momentum is achieving tangible goals every day, seeing tangible progress, small steps forward that moves you in the direction of achieving your vision. So right now I'm here in Bangkok working with my brother, Lachlan Brown, and he's been kind of like the silent part of IdeaPod for the whole time, for years now. And he does so much work for the company in terms of generating a huge amount of traffic that results in new users and a range of different things. And so I'm here right now, and we're focused on building out IdeaPod's business model. And I feel like we're in a place of momentum where every single day we wake up and we're really enjoying the work. But the reason we're enjoying it is because it means something to us, because it's a very clear plan, and we're making progress every single day towards it. So momentum for me is about achieving progress towards achieving your goal through very simple steps forward that are very clear, very grounded in reality, that are still connected to a much bigger dream.
I like those too, because I'm always looking with anything. In business, there's certain principles that just happen to work. In terms of your health, there's certain principles that just happen to work. You know, we've both been drinking water on this call. If you guys haven't had water, and if you guys are still on here now, cheers to your health. There's certain principles. So ultimately what I want to ask you is this. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Say someone want to live a life and boom. Say someone want to live a life of massive momentum and create a personal philosophy, but take what we're talking about, turn ideas into reality, not just live in the dreamland. It's fun to go way outside the box, but then go, how do we tangibly take a step towards our dream right now? So if you were to give someone 5 tangible steps of things they could do, whether that's every day in their life or in business, it could be some of your daily practices. It could be some insights you've had from your own introspection. It could be something from a mentor. It could be anything. 5, like, what are your 5 big things you'd like to share with people?
Okay. The first thing I would want to do is figure out the why of what I'm doing. Why does it mean something to you? Why do you even want to make the world a better place? Why is that project you're working on actually going to contribute? Is it even important that you contribute, or are you more important? Is it more important that you live your own life according to your own terms? Because I feel like there's a trap. Whenever we try to make the world a better place, we can get sucked into groupthink, and we're trying to impress others and show others that we have worth. And I think that's a really dangerous direction to go down. And by letting go of the idea that we need to make the world a better place, I feel like we can be much more free to have ideas just, come through us, as we spoke about before. So I'd want to figure out the why. Then I would, I think, start to visualize the future, what the world may look like, or what your life may look like if you were living according to that dream. If that dream was now a reality, what does that mean? And then I would start to identify the parts of my life that are actually already like that, because I think that we can be manipulated by our dreams, where we think that you know, if our goal is to be a billionaire, as you mentioned before, you realize that, well, what does it mean to live a life of a billionaire? It might be freedom. It might be having an impact on the world. It might be, being able to get on a yacht and go whatever, right? And I think there's just so many ways to live that life without being a billionaire. And we need to be honest with ourselves about that. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't want to own a yacht. I think that sounds like a lot of work, a lot of maintenance. I'm just not interested. You got to hire a sailor for it, or a captain, or whatever. I'd rather, hire a yacht from time to time, or just get on a boat with some really good friends. So, I'd want to start to pull out bits of my life that I can already live according to that vision. And then I'd probably want to, number 4 is come up with some really simple steps, because the reality is that we do want to create momentum, like you say. And I think momentum is about space between the here and there, and moving in a direction of achieving it. So I'd want to come up with really clear steps that are based on reality and what's possible, and then just living it, of enjoying the process and letting go of expectations and realizing that you're probably already living it now and it's already happening.
I like that. Realizing you're already living it now, it's already happened.
Yeah.
I like it. You're still using a bit of new age languaging. I like it. It's fun how we've got it. I just love, like I said, JP before, but I like that he makes fun of it all. And I think it's important to be able to do that no matter what hat we're wearing. I've been on TV talking about issues before, and off camera, people are so freaking different. It's ridiculous. On camera, we're going head to head. I'm sitting there asking them a question like someone that's an activist for someone that's conventional food. So they actually spray their produce. I go, well, if you had a choice to eat an organic apple or a conventional apple, which one would you eat? And they said both. But then off camera later on, they go, of course I'd eat the organic apple. But it's always interesting too. That's why I'm looking at, like, I gave myself the title Lifetarian. I think it can be generic. I never want to be wishy-washy in terms of my projects, but I want to be able to go, well, I could be this right now, then say that doesn't work, I can throw it away and come up with a new philosophy. Because if the principles that I work are not solid, like I was vegan for 5 years, then it didn't work for me anymore. I could keep banging my head against the wall and forcing it to be vegan and continue that business that I was doing previously. I got burnt out in my previous business. That's why I share a lot of the principles I do now. And I've definitely got some resistance to doing some of the stuff I'm here to do. So it's fun, like going grounding, putting that solid foundation, having a good team around me. That's why I'm just like getting more and more into that. It's interesting just to get real with ourselves. I think it's important for us all to do, no matter what we're doing. Because even that idea of like changing the world, it takes the focus out of the everyday. And I've seen a lot of people running out where it's like, let's go change the world, but the garden needs doing. Let's go change the world, but our relationship sucks. Let's go change the world, but can't afford to pay the bills. You know what I mean? And it's ultimately going, well, yeah, like how do we bring it through tangibly in such a way that we all do well and uplift each other? And there's definitely cultures, like I like the Sikhs, the guys that wear the big turbans on their head. Apparently a lot of those guys are multimillionaires because they've got the great philosophy, but they also help each other. Like this conversation's really helped me in terms of things. And I know for everyone watching, it's going to help too. Just getting into all these different practices. It's brilliant. But I gotta jump off in a second, and I'd definitely like to continue and have more of a conversation in person around a campfire. One time, I'm putting that idea into the world right now, because I always say this: if I want to catch up with someone, I just go, "I'll see you soon." And somehow, people seem to show up in my life. I bump into people all over the planet, so it seems to work. We'll see. We'll test it. Maybe it won't. But I've done it lots of times with different people. I go, "I'll see you soon." But to finish this up, you got 60 seconds or 55 seconds to share just something. It's the last year. You're 100 years old, or whatever age you choose to live to, 80, 100, 120, whatever the age you have, or more, whatever the idea you want to be. You've got 55 seconds to share a message with the world. And you could just...
Or when I'm 100.
Yeah, when you're 100 or just right now, whatever. You just got 55 seconds to speak to everyone on the planet. You've got an idea to share, an idea right now with everyone on the planet.
I would say just be yourself. That's it.
I like it. Keeps it freaking simple, huh?
Just be yourself. There's too many people trying to be someone else.
I love that, man. The whole magic in that. The flow in that.
If we bump into each other, like you say, because you just said, I see you soon. We have to immediately do another video or a Facebook Live or something, because that's part of the evidence for creating this new metaphysical worldview. So I'll see you soon. I really like that.
It's fascinating. Christy and I had it where she really wanted to meet Lisa Messenger. This lady wrote a magazine called The Collective. You'll see it in Australia. She's super cool.
I met her on Necker Island with Richard Branson one time.
Oh, really?
We were there at the same time. Yeah. She's wonderful, amazing.
What were you guys doing there?
Visiting. We're part of an entrepreneurship group. We're pitching Richard Branson for investment. In my case, we're pitching for investment, but other people were there to present different ideas to Richard Branson. So we were there for 5 days, and it was incredible. And Lisa's absolutely amazing. She's wonderful. Similar
to what you articulated. Gets the dreams, gets the downloads, gets stuff done, works the butt off. You got to do it. I haven't figured out a way you don't have to do the work, but we're basically going into Sydney. And I said to Christy, what would you like to experience on this trip? She goes, for whatever reason, I really like to meet Lisa Messenger. We get off the plane and we're going to the grounds in Alexandria, just a little cafe. And Christy's thinking coffee smoothie. Brock's pretty ADD. Once he gets going, I'm just running around catching up with everyone. And she just goes, I want to have a coffee and a smoothie with my man and just chill. But she'd also said she wanted to meet Lisa Messenger. And at the grounds, you can go this way. And then on the left, there's an Italian-style deli cafe. And the easiest way to articulate it is I kept looking at the deli for no apparent reason. Then my body started to pull me to the left. And then the interesting thing was it felt as though that I just got yanked to the left, and there was Lisa and her whole team. So, and that's happened a lot of times. So it could be a cognitive reference, or it could be a way to articulate things. But ultimately, I'm just staying in the question of it all and staying curious and keeping on doing the work and being me and all that sort of stuff. But it's cool. It doesn't surprise me at all you've met Lisa Messenger. It doesn't surprise me at all you met Sir Richard Branson. Has he given you the money yet, or is that why you're going back, getting a better, clearer business plan, a better pitch?
He was interested, and then he referred us to his investment manager in London, who said that once IdeaPod's at a slightly later stage, like a bigger round of financing, then it's right, in their wheelhouse. And it's great that Richard's already said that the idea itself is awesome. So we're still in touch with them, but they haven't invested yet. No.
It's a similar strategy. I think he knows his parameters at what works. I had a guy in Sydney pitch me on something, and then he apparently pitched Richard Branson as well. It was one of those interesting moments. Because his idea is he's basically, for $40,000, he's built this technology in his backyard using plasma to create free energy technology. And again, same deal. Richard goes to him. All he needed was $200,000, but like a lot of mad scientists, it's $200,000, then it's $1 million, then it's $10 million, and everyone keeps needing more funding. And Richard just goes, cool, when it's here. And that's the thing, like Lisa Messenger has it, Lorna Jane has it, I'm working on it more and more. But that certainty and clarity of vision and 1,000% commitment level.
Yeah.
And then just getting it done. Like when people ask, what does it take to do it? Whatever it takes.
Yeah, I really like that. And I love the idea of Richard Branson saying to us, this is great, get to here and then come back and let's talk. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. And just do whatever was needed to get there.
And you pitched Richard fucking Branson. Well done, man. Put it here. I like it.
Yeah, that was definitely a lifetime highlight. Absolutely.
Love your work.
Cheers. Thanks, Brock. I really appreciate being here and having the chance to have this conversation.
Yeah, it's cool.
I hope it's the first of many.
Oh, for sure. I love it. It's just great to record it and ultimately bring more of these ideas to the world. And it's cool for me. Like, I don't want to get groupthink with myself. I want to have people around me like, have you thought about it this way? That doesn't work. Stop being a dickhead. Not all the time. It's nice to have some people encouraging and nurturing and supporting. But I think it's good too to have people, well, cool, that's a great idea, Brock. How the fuck are you going to do it? And if we can all actually do that, then we bring it in, then we bring different people in, then we can. And if we just so happen to change the world and doing it, cool. But ultimately, it's a great thing to keep doing it. I love it.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for having me, Brock. We'll be in touch soon.
Take care, brother. See ya.